Hello and welcome to Retirement with Louie. I do these videos once a week on Sunday and want to talk to you about retirement planning as I'm getting ready to retire in a little bit and working through some of the issues. Here is a picture of where I would like to be today. I'm not actually here, but boy, wouldn't that be nice? And do you dream of it as well? What you're going to do, where you're going to kick your feet back, what kind of environment you're going to be in, and probably most importantly, are you going to be able to make it to the end of retirement with enough money? All right, so today what I want to do is I want to examine what inflation might do to your portfolio. Let's take a look at newretirement.com. Newretirement.com is a software that I recommend. There is a free trial available. I did a full demo and run through a few weeks ago, but you can sign up and play with it for about 2 weeks and see where you stand. Let's take a look at this hypothetical situation that I have going here and see if it resembles you in any way. And then what happens as inflation goes up or goes down? Let's take a look at what the impact might be on your plan. Okay, we have a plan here that has a 97% chance of success. This couple starts out with about $360,000 in saved assets and depletes that pretty well by 2046, but in an optimistic scenario has $250,000 left, and in a poor outcome has $51,000 left, but not a terrible outcome for a pretty modest plan here. In the accounts and assets, we have savings of $354,000, comprised mostly of 401k and some Roth. We have a home value of primary residence, a home value of $500,000 with a mortgage remaining of $250,000. Okay. And in terms of debts, the mortgage is $250,000, no other debts. And in terms of income, we have Social Security kicking in for the older spouse, let's call that me, the man, in November of 2027. That is at full retirement age. That is at delayed retirement age of 70, I believe. And then the spouse is collecting. She started collecting earlier. Her payment $2,256, combined about $5,000 a month in Social Security income. All right, in terms of expenses, let's see, expenses. Here we go, expenses. We have recurring expenses of a mortgage of $2,200 a month and general recurring of $4,500 a month. Everything from soup to nuts and property taxes and, all that stuff that pops up. So a pretty typical family, I think. As I showed you, the plan is doing okay, even though there's not $1 million in the IRA. But let's watch at what happens when expenses are affected by inflation. So what I'm going to do here is go again to the accounts and assets. As you can see in this plan, taxes are quite high in the first 2-3 years because I have delayed retirement, and that is drawing down from my assets. My assets in this case, here is the net worth progression, and it starts out with more savings than house equity, but as the years go, you are burning into that 401k to support your lifestyle, while your house, the blue line, continues to appreciate. And in the end, there's $1.2 million comprised mainly of the equity in your home due to housing inflation. All right, what are the assumptions about home and real estate? Let's go ahead and look at inflation assumptions. All right. So general inflation rate, we've got at a 2 to 3%. Social Security at a 2 to 3%, housing appreciation at a 2 to 3%, and medical inflation at a 3.5 to 5.5%. That's all being calculated by newretirement.com. So what I want to see here is what happens to my general score, which is 97% chance of success based on the value of the portfolio. The home is on top of that. What happens as we go and we see what happens if we increase inflation rates? Because this could actually happen. And right now we're at 3.5% general inflation rate. But and it looks to be coming down, but there can be another spike in inflation, as happened in the 70s, a double dip, if you will. And the next time around could be much worse than the 8% we already saw. So what would happen if general inflation went to 8%? Let's put both pessimistic and optimistic inflation at 8%. Now that would likely increase home prices as well, but I just want to see what the effect of inflation would be on this plan. Let's go back to the overview and look at that. Under 15% chance of success. Wow, that's dramatic. And what happens to our assets? Let's keep going here. Plan assets. Hold on one second. Accounts and assets, overview, explore. Yeah, so we run out of money in 2033. Well, that's only 10 years from now. So that is not a plan we like. I don't see the bar graph here, but it's just, that high of inflation will not work. Let's see how high we can sustain without burning our plan to the ground. And here we go. Inflation, let's take that to 5%. And pessimistic to 5% as well. And let's recalculate and see what happens. Okay, well, that extended us out to 2036. We only bought a couple of years there. So you can see this inflation adjustment factor is very significant. Let me just put it down to 4%. 4. So only 4% inflation, just a little bit above what it was at a month ago. Okay. And no change to Social Security. Now, Social Security would go up if inflation went up, but I'm going to leave it for now just to see what happens. And this is going to improve things a little bit. Now we've made it out to 2038. Let's try 3% inflation. I didn't realize this had such a dramatic effect. Really, really dramatic. 3%. And 3%. And explore. Okay, now we've made it out to 2044. We would be age 87 and 88 and potentially 90 when we die under the optimistic assumption. But the point I'm making here is that general inflation will have a dramatic effect on retirees' expenses, and it is something to be planned for. And I'm going to go into just a couple of ideas of how we can plan for that, and let's see how we can combat what happens if the government doesn't bring its expenses under control and doesn't bring its inflation rate under control and its money printing under control. So hold on, we'll get through some ideas here. Right, here are some ideas on how to beat inflation if it starts to tick back up while you're in retirement. And let's say, for argument's sake, that it stops going down and it starts going back up past 4. Well, that is the retirement killer. So, what can you do and do as soon as possible? Here is number one: accelerate your purchases. Okay, if inflation is up and rising, everything will get more expensive. And actually, it's not the things getting more expensive, it is the value of the dollar declining. So, you'd want to accelerate your purchases. If you were looking for a car, a new car, a used car, a different car, you want to buy that sooner rather than later. If you want to finance that, you'd want to do that sooner than later as well, because higher inflation begets higher interest rates. Any home improvements are always good to do before you retire, but if you have something that needs to be done and inflation is ticking back up, you'll want to do it sooner rather than later. Same thing with home repairs, that new roof, that new HVAC system. $1 spent today will save you 20 cents tomorrow. When you go shopping, shop in bulk. Don't be afraid to store items. Everything you buy today will be more expensive tomorrow. So, whether that is toilet paper or plastic bags, whether that is larger quantities of staples, whether it be tuna fish or spam or beans and rice, don't buy so much that you'll never be able to eat it. But the more you buy, the better. And the larger purchases you make of, meat, for example, the lower the price. Learn how to cut and carve your own meat. Learn how to cook at home if you don't do that already. You'll save a fortune because restaurants are not going to be your friend. All right, if you have a home and you have a backyard, consider putting in an additional dwelling unit. This is a small home, maybe 600 square feet, that is built in the back of your residence and can be rented. You have to check your local regulations, but many people are turning to ADUs as a way to house aging parents or extended family members, as well as generate income into retirement. A little bit of income in retirement really goes a long way, and renting out a granny flat or part of your house can really sustain you quite a bit in retirement. Number 4, minimize gasoline use. Gasoline under inflation usually goes through the roof. If we see $150 oil prices, you'll see $6 gas prices, and you do not want to have a gas guzzler. So my advice would be get the highest MPG vehicle you can find. If you can get along with one vehicle instead of two, that's always a good idea. Don't be afraid to limit your gas consumption. Gasoline is a major expense in retirement. And often smaller cars and cheaper cars require less insurance as well. You could even consider an electric vehicle. Number 5, reduce vampire costs. Well, you really have to work at this, and you have to go through all of your credit cards and all of your bank statements and all those little dings that hit you every month for things that you put on automatic pilot. That could be a gym membership, that could be a website that you subscribe to, that could be cable. That is one of my faux pas, is letting the cable bill balloon out of control. You just don't need it all. So when the costs go up, start cutting the vampires. Insurance. Now, many of us have been encouraged to bundle our insurance with one carrier, so you might have your home insurance, your car insurance, even your life insurance, all through one carrier or one broker. And sometimes that makes us complacent about shopping. Shop your insurance costs. Review your deductibles. You probably don't need that really low deductible. If you have substantial assets, you may even be able to have a very high deductible, because, when do you really use insurance? Once in a while, usually never. So do look at all those costs of insurance and check those deductibles and shop. Shop. You'll have the time in retirement to do that. Number 7, have a budget and work the budget. If you don't have a budget, you won't know what you're spending, and you won't know if you're on budget or off budget. Things can come out of nowhere and increase your costs. So if you want to know how much you have to cut, you have to know your costs, and you have to have a budget. Number 8, don't let your cash sit idle. All right, there are CDs right now paying 4.5%, 5% that are 1-month CDs, 9-month CDs, maybe longer. If you have money out of your retirement account and you don't want to put that in the stock market, as many do, nothing wrong with a CD, and earn cash on your cash. Don't let your bank steal that from you. That's your money, and you should be getting a return on it. 9, use the best cashback credit cards, but pay them off. I've been exploring high rebate cash credit cards, and they are abundant out there. You may like your travel miles, you may like your Disneyland resort credits, but I got to tell you, you cannot beat a 3% cashback credit card, all right? And you can get that through PayPal, for example, right now. Anywhere that accepts PayPal you'll get a 3% cash, immediate cash rebate in your account for whatever you buy. Just think about that. If you're buying $100 worth of groceries, you'll get $3 back every time you shop with PayPal, if your grocery store takes PayPal. If it doesn't, you can get 5% cash back on groceries using the new American Express card. I think it's called the Everyday card, something like that. 5% rebates on groceries, which will be the thing that will go up the most likely. If you shop at Target, there's a Target, I think it's a Target Red card that will give you 5% back on everything you purchase. I think that even works on gift cards. So do not fear the cash back. Use it to your advantage, but do not run a balance. If you're going to use this strategy, you've got to pay the card off after you use it. All right, those are all my ideas for today. I hope you enjoyed this segment, and let me know your ideas for saving money in retirement. Do you think inflation is going down over the next 10 years, or do you think inflation is going up over the next 10 years? Personally, I think we'll have a dip down to 2%, and then we'll have a repeat. I think we will have the double dip, just like in the Jimmy Carter years and the Reagan years. I do believe that the double dip is coming, and higher inflation is around the corner. So, we almost never reverse the damages of inflation. Inflation is cumulative. So when Washington, D.C. sits back and takes credit for a 3% inflation rate, remember that's on top of the 8% last year and the 3% before that, and so forth. And those statistics do not properly measure the cost of things that you really buy, like groceries, for example, that are up over 19% cumulatively. So you won't get back, unless we go into depression, you won't get back the increases you've seen before, but you can limit how much you pay going forward by using some of these ideas. Okay, let's get back to the lake and enjoy your weekend. Thank you for tagging along with Retirement with Louie, and I'll see you next Sunday. If you like this, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you later.